Hello and welcome to another video on About Script. In this video we're going to be going over a program or a small script that I wrote called textbox. The point of the video is to show how a small and simple script can be used for a wide variety of purposes. So first let's go over what textbox is. Textbox is a small script that when you open it up by running textbox or whatever you name it, you get this window that has a text box. Could it be any simpler? Probably not. And when you close it, whatever text is in the text box gets echoed back out on standard output, which is really useful in a console setting because that's what a lot of things work on. They work on standard input and standard output. So if we type ABC and we close the window, it echoes out ABC. Now you can also give input to text box, and that's what will be loaded by default. So echo something, and then we use the pipe character to say we're going to pipe the output of echo to something else, and we're going to send that to text box. And now we have something, and what we can do, and what makes this interesting, is we can edit this text, and when we close it, it sends the updated version back out. So some simple examples of things you can do with this would be sending the output to a file like text box, and we're going to use the arrow to put it into a file, so we'll name it file.text, and so now it asks us for some text. We give it something, and then now that file will have the text that we typed. Okay, and we can also read in from a file, so we could say textbox read in from file.text, in which case it does, and then if we change the file or we change the information, it just puts it out to standard output and our file is still the same. And then we could take that a step further and say read in from file and then output either to the same file or to a new file, so we could say to file 2. So now we read this, we make our changes, we close it, and now we have two files, and alright, so file 2 has that text in it. Alright, another thing that I think is really cool, and I use it a lot for this, is to send some text to Python or to Ruby or whatever scripting language you want to use. So we can say textbox, and again piping it, so whatever we give to textbox, it's going to send to another program, and we're going to send it to the Python interpreter. So now we can say something like for I in range 10 print I times I. And if you were just doing this on the Python interpreter, you may know that once you hit enter, you can't go back and change these lines. Like what if we actually want to change it to 15 before we run it? Well, then it wouldn't be changed, but when we do it this way, we can set it all up however we want. Okay? And then we'd close that, and it sends the text to Python, and Python runs it, and you get your output. Now we could do the same thing, and after Python we could send it to a file, or we could do anything else we want to it, or we could even send the output back to textbox. So we can say textbox to Python to textbox. Alright, so we have some output, print high times 50. Alright, and then now we have that in text box. So then we could send this output to something else, and you can build some really cool chains of commands that are really easy to use on the fly. So another thing we can do is we can use textbox as a parameter for another command. So there's a Unix command called touch, and what touch does is you give it a file.extension, and then it creates that file and just has nothing in it. So now we have an empty file called file.extension. Well, right now what we want to do is we want to make a bunch of files, and we don't want to just sit here and type them one at a time on the command line, so we're going to say touch, and we're going to use textbox. And what these characters here are is the backtick. In my keyboard, it's above the tab and to the left of the 1 in the row of numbers. So it's all the way in the top left corner of the keyboard. If you've used auto hotkey, we would type something like backtick N for a new line. It's that same character. So we hit touch, text box, and we can give it some files like file A, file B, file C.text. Okay, so we have these files, and now we see that it's created those files. So you could copy and paste a bunch of file names from another source and use it that way. And another cool thing we can do is, let's say we want to clear a lot of these files out because we have all these files building up now. So we're going to do rm, which means remove, and we're going to list all files, send that to textbox. And you see how this is getting more complicated, but it's still just some basic logic. So list all the files, send that to textbox, then we have all the names in rm, which will remove any files that we leave here. So let's say we really like file B, we want to keep that, and we really like file.text. So we're going to keep that, and we close this, and it deletes all of the other files. So you can just build complicated commands really quickly on the fly using this tool called textbox, which was very simple to make if you know Python. All I did was download a Python script from a tutorial. It was like the hello world for graphic Python, and I just made some modifications to it and made it do this. So writing a simple script, like one that just makes a text box appear, can be used all the time in a number of different ways, and that's one of the great things about programming, and it's the idea of programming, is you can write something and then you can reuse it many times for different purposes. So that's it for this video. I will link textbox somehow. I'll either put it in a gist on GitHub or in Pastebin or something like that, so you can just download it and run it. In a subsequent video, we're going to talk about how installing scripts works, because you see I'm not typing like I'm not running it like Python textbox or anything. So we're going to talk about how that works in another video. That's it for now. This is Frankie with About Script, and I'll see you next time.